Did you miss a call in the middle of an exhausting night and still think that everything could have gone differently? You stand with the phone in your hand, your heart skipping a beat, and it feels like the missed opportunity is a verdict. I will show you how to understand when such a sign is truly important and when it is just noise, and what exactly to do next in the video. You know this feeling, the anxiety that keeps you awake, the desire to return to a past moment, and at the same time the fear of trusting again. This is not just regret. It's a constant tension that makes you more cautious, closes doors, and pushes away the next chances. Little missed signals, calls, text messages, people's glances, nights when everything seems pointless, turn into a story of what if, and this story keeps you stuck in place. The problem is not that something is lost forever. The problem is that loss has turned into a selection criterion. If it didn't work out, then it's not worth trying further. This rule leads to you dismissing failures that could have become a filter for the right choices. Instead of gaining useful information from each failed signal, you ignore it and lose the lessons. Further in the video, there will not be abstract motivation, but a breakdown. How to read small signs without paranoia, how to distinguish noise from useful signals, and how to build a simple trust system that allows you not to get stuck in maybe. This is not about blind faith. It's about a method that will preserve energy and open real opportunities instead of eternal regret. Right now is the time when elections come every minute. Proposals, people, projects, messages. This makes the issue of trusting the incomplete not just a philosophical question, but a practical necessity. If you don't learn to decipher signals, you will waste resources, time, emotions, efforts on repeating the same mistakes or on an eternal preparation for the right moment. That is why it is important to understand why seemingly small, unsuccessful episodes are worth attention. Why this is important right now. The information overload, the acceleration of life, and constant comparisons through others' stories in the feed amplify the effect of missed opportunities. Every missed call is perceived as a dramatic loss. Every misunderstood remark as a sign that you have been excluded. This works against you. You begin to fear trying, fear trusting, and ultimately reduce your chances for a real breakthrough. Therefore, the topic is important. It helps to restore the simple economy of attention and ensure that small signals work for you, not against. What you will gain in these minutes. You will receive a clear framework that will allow you to turn missed moments into data, not judgments. Next, an analysis of the reasons why small signs can be misleading. Then specific techniques for reading such signals. And finally, a brief summary with a working rule that can be applied immediately. This is not about motivation for the sake of emotions. It is about a tool that reduces the number of empty attempts and increases the share of those that lead to results. A new thesis that is important to keep in mind. Trusting what didn't work is not passivity or an excuse for failures. On the contrary, it is an accelerator of selection. When you categorize failure as data, not judgments, you learn to distinguish faster where to try again and where to conserve energy. This changes the strategy itself. Instead of searching for the perfect chance, you learn to collect the right signals and arrange them into a roadmap, less emotional and more effective. Further in the video, there will be 3 parts: an explanation of the reasons, then practice, simple, verifiable techniques, and finally, a conclusion that can be implemented right after watching. The goal in these minutes is clear: to reduce noise, increase accuracy. and regain control over what previously seemed lost. Mechanism. Why small signals work. First, it is important to understand how small signals become significant. Your brain is not just emotion, it is a statistical filter. It accumulates patterns from tiny events, a missed call, a cold glance in an elevator, a series of sleepless nights before a big decision. These patterns are not a verdict, but they are data. When you systematically ignore such data, you lose the ability to see correlations before they become loud and irreversible. The mechanics are simple. Small events provide early indicators of probability. They do not guarantee success, but they reduce the space of options. Common mistake: dramatization and binary thinking. A common trap looks like an inner setup of works, does not work. One missed call turns into a rule. I am not valued. One failure becomes a diagnosis. I am not fit. This is not logic, but an emotional habit. In dialogue with yourself, it often sounds like this: if it did not work now, then trying further is pointless. Such dramatization cuts off the option to return and check the context. This is not a critique of the situation. This is a critique of probability. You convert random noise into final decisions and block retesting. The result is that you begin to avoid risk, reduce the number of attempts, and consequently, the chance of success. New twist. Consider did not work as a filter, not as a verdict. Change the frame. Not this is a failure, but this is a filter. Instead of final stories, ask yourself the question: what exactly was filtered out in this situation? What became clearer? This shift in thinking changes emotion to information. If the call did not go through, it is not a sign that all doors are closed. It is a signal about a point of contact that needs to be reassessed. Time, channel, message, or context. This perspective turns losses into accelerators of selection. You spend fewer resources on repeating obviously unsuitable routes and focus more quickly on those where the chances increase. Threshold of trust. A simple model. Imagine a control threshold inside your head. A threshold of trust. It determines how many did not work you are willing to accept before completely giving up. Everyone has a different threshold. For some, it's 1 failure. For others, 5. The threshold is not a stack of excuses. It is a parameter of learnability. You can lower it if the cost of failure is low, raise it if the stakes are high. This model helps answer the question of to repeat or not without emotional swings. You look at the likelihood of improvement on a retry and compare it with the cost of refusal. Such calculation is not deadly for motivation. It preserves and directs it. Real-life examples. Example 1. A missed call. You did not reach the employer the day before the decision. The inner voice. That's it. There are no chances. New reaction. You note the fact. The timing of the conversation was incorrect. The message did not fully explain, and the phone call did not provide the necessary detail. This is not a verdict. This is a list of changes for the next contact. A week later, you send a short email for clarification and receive an invitation for a meeting. The turnaround is not in the miracle, but in the fact that you took the missed point as data. Example 2. The project was rejected. The team says it does not fit. Excessive dramatization often leads to self-reduction. Then I am wrong. Another scenario. You inquire about the reason. Notice one recurring remark. For example, lack of specificity. This gives a point for improvement. In the next approach, you restructure the proposal. change the tone, and receive agreement for a pilot. What this gives. The result. When you stop treating failure as a verdict, you change the dynamics. The speed of feedback increases, the emotional weight of each attempt decreases, and the number of hypotheses being tested increases. The outcome is not that all options will start working immediately, but that you are faster at separating noise from opportunity and spend less time on bad bets. Trust in the incomplete is not the romance of faith, but a tool for accelerated selection. It allows you to hit the spots where success can truly arise more often. First, evening recording. Each night, set aside 2 to 3 minutes to document one event that didn't work out during the day. The format is simple. Fact: what happened? A brief answer to the question, what became clearer? One next action. Write no more than 50 words. This micro habit turns emotion into data and requires minimal time. Second, one practical action per day. When you notice a signal, take a small action that either tests a hypothesis or closes a question. Example, phrasing for a message. Briefly, I wanted to clarify regarding X. Can I send the details tomorrow? Or call back at another time? The action should be quick and resource efficient, so the cost of failure remains low. Next, a simple progress metric. Every week, review your records and count how many times a small action led to new information or the next step. Keep it in one line. Date, signal, action, result, useful, not useful. The ratio of useful outcomes will be your indicator, not absolute success, but the speed at which you filter out noise. Further, adjust the trust threshold. Assess the cost of failure. If the stake is low, allow yourself to repeat more often. If the stake is high, add an additional check before a major investment. A simple rule: when the cost of failure is low, allow up to 3 quick checks. When it's high, first gather at least one additional data point from another source. And finally, a plan for setbacks. When you feel like giving up, lower the stakes and apply a test instead of a decision. A short attempt, recording the outcome, and a 24-hour break. Involve external support. A friend, a colleague, or a journal where you note the emotion and fact. This reduces the risk of impulsive withdrawal and helps you return to the system without dramatizing. All these steps make the process of trusting practical. You don't believe blindly. You give the signal a chance to become data, and to yourself, a systematic way to act and measure the outcome. There are 2 things to take away. First, didn't work is not a verdict, but information. When you translate emotions into facts, you reduce the number of pointless repetitions and find working paths more quickly. Second, trust needs to be trained through simple rituals, brief checks, documenting conclusions, and minimal actions that don't cost excessive resources. Instead of dramatic decisions, this allows you to manage risk and conserve energy for truly important steps. The point is not to love failures, but to stop giving them power over your choices. Small signals will help you build a data network. Some will become noise, while others will show direction. It's important to have a system that turns both cases into useful information. Then, you will stop confusing emotional peaks with objective indicators and learn to make balanced decisions more quickly. To conclude, trust is a skill that is cultivated through practice, not inspiration. Make it your tool. Short habits, simple utility math, and the willingness to adjust thresholds. These are what restore control and increase the chances of real opportunities. If this video was useful to you, Subscribe so you don't miss the next one.